Hello folks, and welcome back, and I have to say that because I was going to end up doing this as my last Valis Let's Play, and this takes place in a tower, I decided to draw a little music from a game that takes place entirely in a tower. And I felt that the music in this stage was a bit weak, so enjoy what I've brought you. And go. Okay, the last level, Glames's Tower. The previous level is not one that would kill you with damage. This is the level that will kill you with damage. The enemies are tough, the eyeballs spawn constantly, and the camera has a bit of a problem centering properly for some reason in this stage. I don't know why. This is another stage that I was sure I would die at least once on. Oh yeah, homing projectiles. Good thing they can be shot down. Now, there's actually a scene before this in the turbo version where it shows that, you know, while Yuko and her sisters-in-arms were traipsing about the Dark World, Glames had already actually taken part Oh, that's wrong entirely. Glames had already taken over a fair chunk of Earth, and had already started pillaging and massacring the inhabitants. So it's a little bit post-apocalyptic around here about now. Don't need that, that's ice magic. I'll be demonstrating all of the magics in another video, but the thing about ice magics in this game is that they're generally useless. Naturally, platforming fails me. Yeah, I don't want that. Now, the thing about Lei, Glames' advisor in the cutscenes, is that you never actually fight Lei in the course of the game. However, there is sprite data for her in the actual game data. However, where it's entered has led to some speculation that you may have been originally intended to fight her after you had defeated Glames. I don't know what they had in mind for the plot, but one can guess considering how she was the one who was telling him the whole future anyway. Well, okay, you can die from falling here. In fact, that's kind of what I did in my first recording. You see, I had attempted to record this before, but I actually forgot to start the recording, so I lost it entirely. Well, at least it was good practice. Okay, this is the place in Valis where sliding across gaps is absolutely mandatory. If you don't think you can slide across gaps, you cannot progress in the game. I actually got this tower built up pretty quickly. Makes you wonder, you know, what kind of contractors he was using. Because motivation by death doesn't always work. Most of the time it just makes you want to look for a boss who won't kill you if you fail. Love these fire swords, they'll just hang around for a while and attack anything that gets near. If I did die, I did have backup strats. The thing is, Cham's range is unaffected by the charge bars, so I'd at least have some means of hitting back effectively if I, dropped it. Note: make sure that something is dead before poking it. Okay, we are in the Wily section of Gleam's Tower. I think this is the first time I've gone through this level without actually dying before the boss. Okay, we can only use Yuko for the final boss fight, which is okay with me. Mirror match and whatnot. Duel. Okay, Gleam certainly uses the Lethus sword. It's his whole thing, but Gleam's other attacks are actually his permutations of the 3 sub-weapons you get throughout the game. Of course, it wouldn't be that easy to beat him in just a few hits. Gleam's ambition: take both swords and rage against the heavens, and you could probably bring them down considering what these swords have done in the backstory. Okay, it took them 3 games to get it right, but the final boss is actually the hardest boss in Valis 3. He spams a lot of rather difficult to avoid moves. He has a pretty long reach with his regular sword attacks. And sometimes it can be pretty easy to bump into him when you're trying to hit him. The one thing, though, is that the other reason I replaced Gleam's boss music is that he has no unique boss music in this game. He's the only boss in the entire Valis franchise that doesn't have or eventually get his own. This is about where I got very, very nervous. I didn't plan for that. It's just how the fight turned out. Anyway, Gleam's is a bit more friendly now that we've cut him from the nave to the chops. I know what I'm fighting for, but what are you fighting for? Well, I'm convinced. You know, that's the first time I've ever seen someone ask the "no you" question as an honest question, not just to be an ass. Well, they made a typo in Survivors, but at least they're consistent with it. Gleam's needs no help to return to the heavens. Oh. Okay. Yeah, truly no other ancient evil is gonna erupt out of nowhere and wreck things for everybody. Yeah, there are no escapes for Yuko this time. Well, huh. That's not a typical way to end, a game back then. Okay. Well, that's Valis 3 for the Sega Genesis, and final verdict. Apart from an obnoxious ice level, it's actually fairly decently put together game. The only glitch I've ever found is the casting animation one. And the rest of the game is decent. I'm glad they resisted the temptation to make Spike's instant death. But other than that, that's the end of Yuko's tenure as the Valis warrior. In the Valis 4 games, it's taken up by someone else. But I can't really think of many other platformer franchises that have had a game where basically someone exits the series. Though I do have to note that the only time we see Yuko smiling is when she gets to kick her Chosen One roll to the curb. But this will be my last Valis Let's Play until someone turns up a translation guide for Valis 4 Turbo, because that's the one of the Valis 4s I really want to play. It's a hard game that I haven't beaten, but if there was some sort of translation guide or script guide or whatever, I could probably find it in me to push and finish the game. Shin Nihon Lasersoft is the CD division of Telenet Japan. They're the ones who pushed Last Alert onto the Turbo CD for some reason. In any case, there is going to be a bonus video forthcoming where I show off all the sub-weapons and the alternate dialogues for Zelud and Asura. And after that, well, got a couple of ideas of what I'm going to play through next. And there's the end. I will be seeing you next video, and then next game. Ah, there we go.